Hey guys, my name is Matt and today we're taking a look at this drone right here. This is the DJI Air 2S and this is definitely one of my favorite drones. It really does pack a punch in terms of just the features, the quality, the value for money, and I'm going to be talking about whether it's still worth picking up in 2022. Now, one of the really big hypes about this drone when it first came out was this camera right here. So this actually has a 1-inch sensor, and previously that wasn't seen on any drone other than the Mavic Pros. So those really expensive couple $1,000 drones, that camera has now been brought to a budget drone, which was kind of affordable. That's really what made this drone stand out to a lot of people, including myself. So obviously the reason I wanted this was because of the video quality. The reason you're going to pick up a DJI drone is obviously to fly around and have fun, but to capture some really nice cinematic footage and pictures, and this drone really does not disappoint. In terms of the specifications, this thing is capable of 5.7K at 30 FPS or 4K at 60 FPS. Now, something you may want to actually know is when you're recording 4K 60, it does have a crop. So if you're looking for a really wide field of view, you're not going to get that with this drone right here. Now, something super important you're going to want to know about this drone before buying it is it has a fixed aperture. So unlike the Pro drones that DJI make, there's no ability to actually change the aperture in this drone. So basically that means you're going to need to pick up some ND filters if you want to actually go ahead and darken your image. So the only way of actually reducing brightness when you're outside and it's super bright daylight is to go ahead and adjust the shutter speed. But obviously, if you want cinematic footage, you want your shutter speed to be twice your frame rate. So if I'm recording 30 FPS, I want the shutter speed to be 1/60th. So doing that will actually result in a very bright, overexposed, horrific image. So you don't want to do that. But obviously you do want to do that. So what do? So you need to pick up some ND filters. They kind of clip on the front here. This lens pops off and you can put on the ND filters. That can be a little bit annoying and obviously an extra cost involved. Whereas on the Pro drones, you can actually go ahead and adjust that aperture. So you can go and increase the aperture in order to get a darker image, to get less light in while keeping the shutter speed the same. So the video quality out of this drone definitely doesn't disappoint, definitely not in 2022. This thing is definitely still ahead of its game. It's got 5.7K. Some of the latest mini drones coming out still only have 4K. So you're still getting a higher resolution in this guy. You're only getting 20 megapixels in terms of your photo size. But honestly, unless you're going to blow it up huge, you don't really need a high megapixel count. And on a plus side, having a lower megapixel count allows each little pixel to be bigger, and then more light will get in. So you're getting better low light pictures from this drone over some other drones with a smaller sensor and a higher megapixel count. Now for me, this drone is just perfectly in the middle of the DJI lineup. It's just the perfect spot that really resonates for me. And that's because it's a good size. It's really halfway between the Mini and the Pro. So, pretty decent size. But then in terms of price point, it's also halfway between the Mini and the Pro. So rather than spending a couple $1,000s on the Mavic 3, and rather than spending $500 on the Mini, you can actually pick up this for about $999. And I can say the quality of this is comparable to that of the Pros. It really is great in terms of the build. It's definitely a lot more hefty and durable than the Mini. And something I like about the additional weight is that it handles really, really well in the wind. So whenever it's like a windy day, I can rely on this much, much more than a DJI Mini drone. This is also perfect for solo content creators because there's a lot of features packed in here that you don't get on the mini drones. So there's a lot of tracking features in here, as well as sort of preset defined movements that this drone can do. It can actually go ahead and do these spiral effects and these rocket effects where it shoots up. And the tracking modes themselves are just unbelievably good. It can go ahead and track people, track cars, boats, various moving objects, but then you can also go ahead and add a rotation. So it will actually rotate clockwise or anti-clockwise around the subject it's following. And this drone can actually go very fast. I think it can go about sort of 60 kilometers an hour, something like that. It's rapid. If you put it in sport mode, it really does fly. And something to be aware of is when you have it in sport mode, none of the sensors work. So it really does shut off all of the obstacle avoidance sensors, and you could potentially crash in this mode. I've actually crashed a couple times just into like trees and things like that. It doesn't have sensors on the side as well, so when it's sort of rotating around things, it can actually crash into them because there's no way of it seeing sideways. So that's something you might want to consider. But there is a couple sensors on the top front here, as well as on the back, and they are used for obstacle avoidance. So if you have it in one of the normal modes, when you're flying it, if there's something in the way, like a tree or a road sign, it's going to go ahead and detect it, and it's going to slow you down, avoid it, or it's going to stop, depending on the options you have in the settings. The range on this thing never really does let me down. It's capable of 12 kilometers, but that's in an open space. So when you have buildings and mountains and things in the way, it's going to disrupt the signal. It's going to make it a little bit weaker. So yes, sometimes it does go out of range and it automatically comes back, which is no big deal, but rarely. And I can say you shouldn't be flying it that far away from you to the point where it does go out of range, because it can be pretty dangerous. You're meant to sort of see the drone in your line of sight. Not everyone does that, and sometimes I do go a little bit further just to push my limits just to capture that shot. But yeah, just try keep it within reason, don't fly it way too far. I was a complete beginner when I picked up this drone, and all of those safety features and obstacle avoidance features and the return to home feature was really, really handy for me, because, you know, I was really nervous about losing the drone, and it's very expensive. It's not like a cheap drone, so you don't want to fly off and then go ahead and lose it. So this drone actually connects to various satellites. It shows you in the app exactly where the drone is, and it will return to the point in which it took off from if it loses signal or if the battery gets low or anything like that. So really, even if you're pretty amateur at drone flying, you can handle this drone with no issue. It's very easy to use, it's not very complicated, and honestly, you can kind of just take it off, fly it around, and then sort of put your controller down and it will just hover. So really, if you're a bit stressed or a bit nervous about sort of how to control a drone, just take your time. You get about 35 minutes of fly time with the battery, and it's not going anywhere. If the battery dies, it will come back to you. So really, you can just take a chill pill and you can just relax and fly it with ease. So in terms of would I still pick this up in 2022? Hell yeah, I would. Even 2023, 2024, I don't see this drone going anywhere. I mean, obviously new ones will come out, but the price of this one will drop. But yeah, in terms of the quality, the price, the durability, and how this thing is going to hold up, I don't really see any issue arising in the next few years from owning this guy. And normally the number one thing that goes first on these products is the battery. Normally the battery fails or it dies or it wears down. But obviously on this drone, it's swappable. So you can just go ahead and unplug the battery, pop a new one in. This drone is going to last you a long, long time. And I can tell you from my own experience, you're going to get a lot of fun out of this guy. Ever since I got this, it just kind of brings you on adventures. You just end up going to places you never would have gone before because you own a drone. So that's all I can really say. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Hopefully this video kind of helped you in deciding whether to pick up this drone in 2022. I will leave all my links down below in terms of my affiliate links and things, so you can go ahead and purchase your drone through my affiliate link. That will help me out a little bit, and you will also get a little bit of a discount as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.